My mother treated my sister like royalty for 23 years, and I spent most of my life thinking I was just the unwanted daughter. Then one folder in my mother's closet showed me that my sister had been lying to all of us. I grew up in a house where love had a favorite chair, and my sister always sat in it. My name is Claire, and my younger sister's name is Emily. She was born 3 years after me, but from the way my mother acted, you would think Emily had entered the family carrying a crown. Emily got the bigger bedroom. Emily got the newer clothes. Emily got the birthday parties with rented halls, cakes with her name in gold letters, and gifts wrapped like they belonged in a store window. I got practical things: school shoes, a backpack, a small cake from the grocery store if money was tight. And money was always tight when it came to me. But never when it came to Emily. My father noticed it, but he was quiet about most things. He worked long hours, came home tired, and tried to keep peace. If he bought me something nice, my mother would say, "Don't start making Emily feel less important." So I learned early that my happiness had to be quiet. Emily's happiness filled the whole house. At first, I thought it was because she was younger. People said parents were softer with the youngest child. I tried to accept that. But it did not stop when she grew up. When I was 16, I worked weekends at a bakery because I wanted to save for a secondhand laptop. My mother said it was good for me because I needed to learn responsibility. That same year, Emily cried because she wanted the newest phone. My mother bought it the next day using money from our emergency jar. When I asked why, my mother said, "Emily is sensitive. You are stronger." That sentence followed me for years. "You are stronger." It sounded like a compliment, but in our house, it meant I could be ignored. When Emily failed classes, my mother blamed the teachers. When I got one low grade, she told me I was becoming careless. When Emily screamed, slammed doors, or called my mother names, Mom said she was stressed. When I raised my voice once, Mom refused to speak to me for 3 days. I used to lie in bed at night and wonder what was wrong with me. Not what was wrong with the house, with me. The strange thing was, Emily did not act like someone who felt loved. She acted like someone who was collecting a debt. She demanded things. She corrected my mother in front of people. She made little jokes about me at dinner and watched to see if Mom would laugh. Mom always did. And every time I felt smaller. But the first crack came when I was 24. My father got sick and everything in the house changed. He could not work like before and bills started piling up. I had moved out by then, but I came home every weekend with groceries and helped with appointments. Emily was still living at home. She had no job. She said work gave her anxiety, and my mother defended her every time. One Saturday, I came over with bags of food and found Emily sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling on her phone, while my mother folded her laundry. Not family laundry, Emily's laundry. Emily looked at me and said, "You bought the cheap cereal again?" I stared at her, waiting for my mother to say something. Mom did not even look up. She just said, "Claire, next time get the brand Emily likes. She has trouble eating in the morning." I put the bags down and went outside. I sat in my car for 10 minutes with my hands on the wheel. That was the first time I felt something inside me change. Not break, change. Because sadness had been there my whole life. But anger was new. A few weeks later, my father asked me to meet him at a small diner near the hospital after one of his appointments. He looked tired, smaller than I remembered. He pushed a coffee cup between his hands and said, "Your mother is going to need help, but I need you to be careful." I asked him what he meant. He looked toward the window before answering. "Emily is not as helpless as your mother thinks." That was all he said. I asked him to explain, but he closed up. He said he did not want to create more trouble. I drove home that day feeling like I had been handed the corner of something bigger, but not enough to see the full shape. And then my father passed away 6 months later. After that, my mother got worse. She clung to Emily like Emily was the only person left in the world. I helped plan everything. I made calls. I paid for things my mother said she would pay me back for. Emily posted sad captions online and disappeared whenever real work needed to be done. At the gathering after the funeral, my mother stood up in front of everyone and said, Emily has been my rock through all of this. I was standing in the kitchen, holding a tray of cups I had just washed. My cousin looked at me. She knew, I knew, but my mother kept talking. She said Emily had such a soft heart. She said Emily had suffered so much. She said the family needed to support her, not us, her. That night, something inside me went cold, but the part that still wanted a mother stayed quiet. For the next year, I kept showing up. I paid for mom's prescriptions when she forgot her card. I drove her to appointments. I fixed things around the house. Emily took selfies in my father's old recliner and complained that the house felt depressing. Then one afternoon, my mother called me crying. She said the mortgage was behind. She said she did not know how it happened. She said my father must have left things messy. I knew my father. He kept receipts from 10 years ago in labeled folders. Nothing about money was messy with him. So I went over. My mother was shaking at the dining table. Emily was not home. There were letters spread everywhere, late notices, bank statements, credit card bills. All of them had charges I did not understand: beauty clinics, designer handbags, weekend hotel stays, expensive restaurants, and every payment had come from the same account, my mother's account. When I asked about it, Mom wiped her face and said Emily needed help for a while. I asked how much. She would not answer, so I started adding. The number made my stomach drop. Over $40,000 in 2 years. I asked my mother if Emily knew the mortgage was behind. Mom said, she has had a hard time. I did not want to stress her. That was the moment I stopped feeling sorry for my mother, because she was not just favoring Emily anymore. She was helping Emily destroy what Dad had left behind. I told Mom we had to sit down with Emily and talk about the money. Mom panicked. She said, "No, do not upset her." I asked her why Emily was always protected, even when everyone else had to bleed for it. My mother looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. Fear, not anger, fear. Then she said, "You do not understand what she has been through." And there it was again. That invisible thing Emily had been through. The reason I was always expected to step back. The reason my mother let her get away with everything. But nobody had ever told me what it was. 2 days later, I came to the house while Mom was at a doctor's appointment. I was there to scan mortgage papers and sort bills. I was not snooping. At least, I did not start that way. I was looking for Dad's insurance documents in the hall closet where he kept old files. Behind a stack of tax folders, I found a brown envelope with my name on it. Not my mother's name. Mine. The handwriting was my father's. My hands started shaking before I even opened it. Inside were copies of bank statements, notes, and a letter. The letter was dated 3 months before he passed. It started with, "Claire, if you are reading this, I am sorry I waited too long." I sat on the floor right there. The letter said my father had been worried about Emily for years. Not because she was fragile, because she had been manipulating my mother since she was a teenager. When Emily was 14, she found old messages between my mother and another man from before my parents separated for a short time. Nothing in the letter gave every detail, but it said enough. Emily had used those messages to scare my mother. She told Mom that if she did not give her what she wanted, she would tell Dad and ruin the family. My mother gave in the first time, then the second. Then it became a pattern. Money, trips, borrowed clothes, special treatment. And after a while, Emily did not even need to threaten her directly. She just had to remind Mom that she knew things. My father eventually found out anyway, not from Emily, from my mother during an argument. He wrote that he stayed because he did not want me to lose the only stable parent I had. That line hurt more than anything, because he had seen me, he had known, but he had also stayed quiet. The folder had more. Copies of transfers to Emily, photos of receipts, notes from conversations. My father had tried to get my mother to stop giving Emily money. He had warned her that Emily would drain the family dry. And at the bottom of the folder was one final note. "Claire has been treated like the punishment for a mistake she did not make." I read that sentence over and over until the words blurred. For years, I thought my mother loved Emily more because Emily was special, but it was guilt and fear. My mother had not treated Emily like a queen because Emily deserved it. She had done it because Emily knew how to keep her scared. I waited at the house until my mother came home. I put the folder on the table. She saw it and froze. Her face changed so fast I knew she understood. I asked one question. Was Dad right? She sat down slowly and covered her mouth. That was enough. I did not yell at first. I wanted to, but my voice came out calm, and that made it worse. I asked her if she knew what she had done to me. She cried and said she was ashamed. She said it started small. She said she thought if she kept Emily happy, the family would stay together. I asked her why keeping the family together meant breaking me quietly in the corner. She had no answer. Then Emily came home. She walked into the kitchen, saw the folder, and instantly got defensive. She said Dad had no right to keep private records. She said Mom owed her. She said I was always jealous. That was when I finally snapped. I told her jealousy was wanting what belonged to someone else. I never wanted her crown. I wanted a mother who could look at me without comparing the cost. Emily rolled her eyes and said, "You always act like a victim." My mother whispered, "Emily, stop." And for the first time in my life, Emily did not have control of the room. Because my mother looked scared of her, but also tired. Completely tired. I told them both I was done. I would help Mom speak to the bank one time. I would not pay Emily's bills. I would not cover another emergency created by silence. And I would not come back to that house if Emily lived there and kept taking from it. Emily laughed and said Mom would never choose me. But this time, Mom did not defend her. The silence after that was the loudest thing I had ever heard. Over the next month, everything fell apart. Emily demanded more money. Mom refused. Emily screamed, packed 2 bags, and moved in with a friend. Then she posted online about being abandoned by family. For once, nobody rushed to save her. My cousins had seen enough. My aunt had heard enough. Even people who used to call Emily the baby stopped answering her calls. Mom sold some jewelry to catch up on the mortgage. She started therapy. She wrote me a long letter, but I did not read it right away. I needed space. Not because I wanted to punish her, because I did not know who I was without chasing her approval. For months, I kept my distance. I went to work. I came home. I cooked dinner for one. And slowly, the quiet stopped feeling like rejection. It started feeling like peace. My mother and I talk now, but it is different. She is careful with me, sometimes too careful. She apologizes often, and I tell her that apologies do not erase years. But I also see something in her that I never saw growing up. Regret. Deep regret does not fix the room it damaged. It just stands inside it and sees the cracks. As for Emily, she still says I ruined the family. Maybe that is easier for her than admitting she spent years using our mother's fear as a wallet. I do not hate her anymore. Hate takes energy, and she already took enough from me. The strangest part is that people think the biggest pain was finding out why Mom favored her. It was not. The biggest pain was realizing my father had known I was hurting and tried, in his own quiet way, to leave me an answer. That folder did not give me my childhood back. It did not give me the birthdays, the hugs, or the soft version of my mother I watched Emily receive. But it gave me something I never had before. A reason to stop blaming myself. My mother treated my sister like a queen because fear made her weak, guilt made her blind, and silence made me invisible. But I am not invisible anymore.